Good evening and welcome to the October 11th, 2022 meeting of the Abington Board of School Directors. I note the attendance of all board members, with the exceptions of Mrs. Brown and Mr. Mohammed, who are excused. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I can't fix the chair. The Abington Board of School Directors has convened this evening's meeting at the Administration Building, and the public is welcome. In consideration of the health and safety of the school community, this meeting is also being broadcast live on the Abington School District YouTube channel. This meeting is being recorded and will be accessible on the district's website and cable channel no later than Friday, 14 October 2022, to allow those members of the public who cannot participate to view the proceeding at a later time. Comments from citizens will be conducted in person and by phone. Information regarding participating remotely in public comment will be displayed on the screen at the time of public comment. The board thanks the public in advance for its cooperation. Dr. Fetcher, do we have any additional announcements or agenda items?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Mallory. First, it saddens me to start our meeting with such an announcement, but as many of you have heard, last week we lost a longtime member of our Abington teaching staff, Mr. Chris Hampshire, who passed away after a battle with long COVID. Mr. Hampshire was an 8th grade English teacher for more than 2 decades, who was a beloved colleague, mentor, and friend. He was an educator who was as dedicated to his students as he was passionate about the subject he taught. Chris was also an Abington School District parent himself, so his passing impacts many layers of our school community. A memorial service honoring his life is tentatively being planned for the week of Thanksgiving at Abington Senior High School. The district is also working with his family on setting up a memorial on campus to remember his life. Chris will be greatly missed, and our thoughts remain with his wife, Aileen, 3 children, and countless other loved ones. I would ask that you please join me in a moment of silence in memory of Mr. Chris Hampshire. Thank you. I have additional announcements this evening. I would like to share that on Saturday, November 19th, we will host tours of the renovated and expanded Abington Senior High School for our parents, guardians, community members, and alumni. Guided tours by our Abington Senior High School students will depart every 15 minutes from the auditorium lobby between 10 a.m. and noon. We will ask anyone interested to sign up for a time online to ensure we have groups spaced evenly apart. The link to register will be available on our website and social media channels in the upcoming days. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any comments from board members? Mr. Allen?
Nothing, thank you.
Yes. Several weeks ago during the back-to-school night, I spoke with a parent who is also a psychologist. She had grave concerns over fentanyl and how it's being packaged and marketed to the school-age children. And she said that she would be willing to speak with some of our student groups about the dangers thereof. How would she proceed?
She should contact Ms. Judy Bomsey.
Thank you.
Mr. Kay?
I met Chris Hampshire when our kids, his son Colin and mine, Aiden, played soccer together. And I didn't know Chris. I wasn't on the board. Just talking to him, and he knew sports, and I don't. So he was talking to me all about what you have to do and how you do it, and was showing Aiden, how you run with the ball, and he was really positive and supportive. And every once in a while, Aiden would do something that I would do, which is just sit in the grass and play with the grass in the middle of the game. So Chris said he would come over and he would laugh and he would say, it's okay, because he's having fun. When he's ready to get up, and he'll get up and he'll do it, but he'll have fun. It's important to have fun. And over the years, I would talk to Chris about a lot of different things that he thought about. When he became Aiden's teacher, I realized that not only was he a great person and a sweetheart of a guy, but he was a really good teacher. Aiden loved his class, and he loved learning from him, and he was kind of glowing about him. And when Aiden was struggling with different things, Chris would always pull me aside and say, is there anything you need? Is there anything I could do? I really want to do something. And it really meant so much to a parent to hear that. A real genuine love for the kids and what he was trying to do. Like everyone else, when I heard what happened, that we lost him, complete disbelief and sadness. And I think from that moment, I've had a real hard time personally accepting what happened. I work in an industry where people pass away all the time, but not young, strong, healthy people. And it's really stuck with me emotionally and with my family. And a lot of other people feeling the same, and a lot will come out, when they have the celebration of his life. I just want you to know that if you didn't know him, he really, really was a great, great person, a really great teacher, a really good guy, a terrific father and husband, just a really impressive human being, and we were deeply lucky in Abington to have him for the short time we had him.
Ms. Fazy?
So I feel that I must echo the sentiments of those who went before me in remembering Mr. Hampshire. I didn't have the opportunity to meet him personally, but this past week I've heard small bits about his really large impact on his students and the school district and his community. The things that I've heard from students and alumni and community members describe him as a person that made them feel as though they mattered, that he had time for them, and that he saw them. My heart goes out to all who are grieving his loss. So.
Dr. Kleiman?
Thank you.
I did not know Mr. Hampshire, though several of my kids' friends had him as a teacher. But during these past few days, learning more about him and the care he had for his students, and the fact that he too travels the path of studying literature, it is worth remembering, as he demonstrated to his students, that literature affords us an opportunity to appreciate the warp and weft of human experience in all its rich complexity. And that might be one of the best ways we can remember Mr. Hampshire, is to continue with that appreciation. So my condolences go out especially to his family, but to all the students who had the pleasure of having him as a teacher and who honor his memory. Dr. Fetcher, can you please proceed with our student council representative?
I have one
Nope.
announcement.
One more, did I miss one?
Health solicitor, yes.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's okay. There was, just by correcting an oversight from a prior meeting,
Ah.
there was an executive session that was held on August 18th regarding personnel, specifically regarding the superintendent's employment agreement. I just wanted to make sure that got announced. It probably should have been announced at a prior meeting, but I'm doing it now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Roos.
Yeah, and I just want to make an announcement too. When we have such an impact, a sad impact on our community, it is important to note that we have services available, we have counselors available, and, you know, it's not just in the beginning, last week, you know, it continues. So if you, I put the message out there that that's an ongoing process and an ongoing thing that we have here, and please do not hesitate to reach out. And if you don't know where to go, you can speak to any one of us, and we can make sure that we make arrangements for those counseling services. I think it's important to note that it's not, okay, we had a day of counseling and we're moving on. It is an ongoing process, and I invite members of our school community to please take us up on that ability and that offer. And that's why we're here, and that's why we have people in these positions.
Thank you for that reminder.
So with that, I'll begin the student council representatives. First, I'd like Emma Brown from Abington Senior High School to come forward.
Good evening, Dr. Fetcher and members of the Board of School Directors. My name is Emma Brown, and I am President of Student Council Executive Board. It has been a busy time for the senior high as the school year is kicking into gear. We held back to school night September 29th for parents of the senior high students. Key Club and Link Crew members helped show parents around the school. Link Crew has been an amazing help with welcoming the freshman and sophomore classes into the senior high. Each Link Crew mentor has a group of students to help guide through their first year at the new school. Thank you to all of the Link Crew and teacher sponsors, Mrs. DeVoli, Mrs. Miller, Mr. O'Donnell, and Miss G. I would also like to highlight the new Lunch and Learn program that started in late September. This program has been a success among the students as it allows us to utilize the allotted time to participate in clubs and activities we may not have been able to before. Personally, I love the Lunch and Learn program, especially during my busy field hockey season, because I can attend club meetings during school rather than having to miss them because of after-school practices. I am excited for the continuation of this helpful and productive program. Fall sports are beginning to finish up their successful seasons and celebrate their graduating seniors. The tennis team held their senior night September 29th, and senior Alejandra Grantono made it to district playoffs, representing Abington with pride. The boys and girls soccer team have been extremely victorious this season, with the boys' record being 10-2 and the girls 10-3. Congratulations to all of the fall sports teams. The football games have been a very popular and spirited event for the senior high students. Specifically, on September 16th, Abington hosted the annual Gold Out game. It was a great success with many students attending to support the local families who have battled with pediatric cancer. All proceeds made from the game were donated to local foundations, Shane's Future Days and Sarah Smiles. Friday, October 7th was the homecoming game. Homecoming queen and king were announced. Congratulations to Savannah Green and David Disla for being crowned winners. Following that, Saturday, October 8th was the annual homecoming dance. It was a wonderful event and great to have representation from grades 9th through 12th. We had almost 1,200 students attend, much thanks to the administration and staff that chaperoned. Lastly, students are finally feeling adjusted to the new block scheduling system and ready to take on the 2022 to 2023 school year. It's going to be a great one. Respectfully submitted, Emma Brown. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. A lot going on in 1 month already, so we're in full swing. At this time, I'd like to ask Joseph Donnelly from Abington Middle School to please come forward.
Good evening, members of the Board of School Directors and Dr. Fetcher. My name is Joe Donnelly, and I am one of the executive board members of the Abington Middle School Student Council. Student Council is happy to report that over 130 students in grades 6 through 8 signed up to be a part of the leadership group for this school year. We are in the process of establishing our executive board and helping them develop their goals and vision for the exciting year ahead. To commemorate the year of all things new, we have emerged a literary magazine and creative writing club to be one. To date, we have recruited 30 aspiring writers to use words in a variety of mediums. We will meet on select Mondays 1 to 2 times per month. TATA, which stands for Teens Against Drugs and Alcohol, is kicking off its 33rd year with its largest enrollment in the club's history. When signups closed on Friday, September 30th, we had approximately 900 students at the middle school who turned in their TATA sign-up form. We look forward to planning a lot of fun events for our members in the coming months. This year, AMS kicked off its inaugural WEB program on the first day of school. WEB is a peer mentoring and orientation program designed to support incoming students in their transition to middle school. This year's program was led by over 100 eighth grade student leaders who facilitated small group team building activities for our 1,400 incoming 6th and 7th grade students. WEB students were also present during our open house nights to assist our parents and guardians. We recognized Start With Hello Week as we found new ways to say hello, celebrated upstanders, and wore green to represent inclusivity. Some students wrote thank you letters to people in their community or family to say, thanks for all you do. The virtual activities fair took place to share many of the great clubs, activities, and sports that our school has to offer. It has been great that so many students are already looking to get involved. Even though we are still in the same building, we have been enjoying our new middle school, new schedule, new teacher-student teams, and the teachers new to the school, as well as those who have been here. We are looking forward to continuing or completing our transition to a new and wonderful middle school. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. A lot going on at the middle school as well, and it has been a great opportunity to see a true middle school in process, and I've been able to visit probably more than Mr. File would like, but at least weekly, to see the transformation into a new school, not only from a physical standpoint of things changing within the building, but more importantly, from a philosophical standpoint. And that's a testament to the hard work of our staff and our students who have really risen to the occasion and on a transition to a new model. So I just want to take a moment to say that. Thank you.
Great. Would you please proceed with this evening's honors?
Well, thank you, Dr. Mallory. First, I have an announced honor this evening. I am pleased to announce that Abington was once again named one of the 50 best places to live in the United States by Money Magazine, ranking at number 24. There are a number of factors taken into consideration with the rankings each year, with education and quality of schools being a key determiner, as well as affordability and cost of living. Specifically, the methodology cites that the rankings weigh K-12 test scores and high school graduation rates. New for this year, the list also introduced data related to national heritage, languages spoken at home, and religious diversity, in addition to the metrics that were gathered in the past on racial diversity. I thank our school community, from our residents to our students and families, teachers, and staff, as well as our Board of School Directors, for making Abington a great place to live and work. At this time, I'd like to move onto our honors. In August, the top 10 Phillies All-Star teachers from 2022 were honored at Citizens Bank Park during the game against the New York Mets as part of the 22nd Annual Teacher Appreciation Night. Previously, the game was scheduled for May 6th, but was rained out. Mr. Daniel File, principal at the Abington Middle School, will be pleased to introduce Mr. Keller. Mr. File.
Thank you. I'd like to ask Mr. Keller to join me. So as Dr. Fetcher mentioned, each year the Phillies do make their selection of teacher All-Stars, and I couldn't be happier to share that Mr. Keller was the recipient of one of last year's awards. It is especially worth noting that Tim was nominated by a family of one of his former students who highlighted his kindness and compassion. Our school community is so lucky to have Tim, whether he's doing what he loves, which is teaching, or helping a student who's struggling to learn a scientific concept, or supporting someone who's stressed with the prospect of taking a test. He's patient, knowledgeable, and knows his students in such a way that he can provide what they need to be successful. As a teacher who is also an administrator, Tim's commitment to instruction and curriculum is unwavering. The teachers in his department benefit from his leadership daily. As the principal, I am certain that this award could not have gone to someone more deserving. Tim is an educator who is kind, is compassionate, and I know is a model for serving the best interests of the children and his colleagues each day. Congratulations, Tim.
Mr. Keller, I just would be remiss if I didn't say a few words. And, you know, I think it's important to note that, Mr. Keller, your dedication to Abington School District is paramount. And I know you are on your final tour, as you would call it, this year. And we thank you for all that you have done for the students here. We also thank you for your military service as well. So appreciate it. Thank you. Continue. At this, no. As long as you're okay if I
I'm
continue.
fine, that's
all right.
fine. Carry
Then we
on.
Carry on. All right. At this time, I'd like Ms. Ali Artur, Communications Coordinator, to share one video highlighting recent media coverage of Abington School District.
Good evening, Dr. Fetcher, Dr. Mowry, and members of the Board of School Directors. During the week of September 19th, schools across Abington School District recognized Start with Hello Week, which is an annual initiative established by the Sandy Hook Promise to foster belongingness and empower students to create a culture of inclusion and connectedness within their schools. One of the many events and activities held during the week was a visit from the Weldon Fire Company to Copper Beach Elementary School, where members of the fire department greeted students upon their arrival. I'm happy to share with you news coverage from 6 ABC Action News. Please enjoy the clip.
And first responders went back to school today to help brighten students' days in the Abington School District in Montgomery County. The action cam was at Copper Beach Elementary as members of the Weldon Fire Company greeted students with hellos and high fives this morning. It was part of a nationwide effort called Start with Hello Week. The initiative was created by Sandy Hook Promise, which encourages connection and inclusion in schools.
Thank you, Mr. Artur. It was a great week across the district with making sure we start with hello, and I had fun during that week as well. I just want to point that out. And I thank all the students for making that fun for me. At this time, may we move on to our board orientation?
If you would, please.
All right. Ms. Bomsey, Dr. Rosenthal, and Mr. Taliaferro will provide an orientation on student services in the district and at each level, elementary, middle, and high school. They'll provide the framework by which the district defines, analyzes, implements, and evaluates the services and programs. Presentation will provide a summary of the universal prevention programs as well as targeted and individualized interventions. Ms.
Thank you, Dr.
Bomsey.
Fetcher. Good evening, Dr. Mowry, Board of School Directors. Tonight we will present to you on student services programs in the district and also the framework that we use to identify struggling students early and intervene quickly. This is the comprehensive plan goal that we are focusing on to promote social emotional wellness and personal success of all students, and the outcomes that fall under this goal ensuring students enroll in rigorous courses, that they have access to programming, and we're improving social emotional health of the students. The framework that we use is a multi-tiered system of supports, or MTSS. The name describes the multiple tiers of instruction, intervention, and support for enhancing the academic, behavioral, and social emotional outcome for students. This process serves as a way to organize resources and includes learning standards as well as behavioral expectations. MTSS is a continuous process, as depicted in the circular part of the graphic at the top of the slide, of analyzing data to drive decisions on the services and programs that we implement, and reviewing and evaluating these programs to make sure that they are working. We will share with you the components of this process and the programs and services we provide across the district and at each level, elementary, middle, and high school. We begin with the data that we use to drive decision-making. Some of this data is information at a certain point in time, like enrollment in rigorous courses, student surveys, and universal screeners. The student survey data lets us know how the students are responding to our programs, their sense of belonging, how safe they feel both physically and emotionally. The screeners are completed by the teachers and provides information to the core teams as to whether there are concerns in the entire grade, the classroom, or individual students. You may recall the presentation that Dr. Brown and I presented in June on some of this information. The other information, such as attendance, discipline, referral information from staff and families, and student achievement, is more fluid and reviewed more continuously. These are some of our universal prevention programs, practices, and professional development that are offered to the entire school community. As you are aware, we provide social emotional learning across the district. At the beginning of the school year, we conduct welcoming programs, as you just heard. Start with Hello was one of them. That was an example. Each school uses a positive behavior intervention and support system that includes school-wide climate activities, as well as anti-bullying lessons, incentives, and fun and bonding activities for the students. Each school has earned the designation of a No Place for Hate school. There are activities to promote social, emotional, and physical wellness, including professional development on related topics, parent-guardian outreach and resources, and the work of our nurses. We continue through this multi-tiered system of support framework to offer targeted and individualized intervention. These supports are listed here on this slide and include such things as counseling, on-site therapeutic supports, mentoring and checking in with specific staff on a regular basis, plans for truancy assessments, assessments and evaluations of students, home visits, consultation with families and staff, and consideration of alternative practices when students aren't adhering to our behavioral expectations. Dr. Rosenthal will now discuss more specific about the elementary school intervention.
Thank you, Ms. Bomsey. As Ms. Bomsey described, student services staff work with the MTSS framework at the elementary level. At the Tier 1 level, counselors and psychologists help design behavior expectation lessons, incentive plans, progressive discipline practices, and consult in the design of classroom behavior management plans. The school counselor provides social emotional learning classroom lessons. The social worker helps with initiatives like No Place for Hate and Start with Hello. Our school nurses provide health screenings and professional development. We work with the police department for DARE drug prevention lessons. At the Tier 2 level, our psychologists help analyze student data in order to match student needs with the type and intensity of intervention. When students struggle behaviorally or emotionally, they help design behavior plans and implement interventions along with the school counselors and social worker. Nurses help create 504 plans for medical conditions, and the social worker helps create school attendance improvement plans. Our staff provide check-in, check-out, and evidence-based behavior intervention, as well as group counseling. At the Tier 3 level, our students who need the most intensive supports receive individualized behavior plans, concussion management plans, individual counseling, crisis interventions and supports, and referrals to private practitioners. Our team of passionate and resilient professionals collaborate with administrators and all educators. Student Services at the middle school is a comprehensive support program that addresses the development of our students across 3 domains: academic, career education, and social emotional. At the Tier 1 level, there is regular monitoring of multiple data, career education lessons, social emotional learning lessons, course selection lessons and assistance, as well as support with the Bully Prevention Committee. Nurses provide health screenings and promotion of healthy lifestyles. At the Tier 2 level, counselors, psychologists, and our social worker serve as direct interventionists, as well as liaisons to many supports. Examples of new supports are the HOPS, Homework, Organization, and Planning Skills System, which is a pilot program designed to assist students with organizational deficits in an innovative manner, as well as the Strong Families programs, which reflect our partnership with Child and Family Focus and serves to celebrate and strengthen families and grow resiliency. They also work with outside agencies in providing student assistance programs, SAP, for mental health and drug abuse concerns. For those students requiring the highest intensive supports, our staff provide crisis and individual counseling, attendance improvement plans, and our liaisons to outside agencies and services. Mostly, our team of highly trained professionals work alongside our outstanding educators in order to ensure the comprehensive goal of social emotional wellness and personal success of all students is achieved. And now for the high school slides with Mr. Tagliaferro.
Thank you, Dr. Rosenthal. It's my pleasure to present the counseling services offered at Abington Senior High School. The menu of counseling services offered to students has evolved with the transition to a Pathways program. In addition to traditional counseling services, students now receive expanded college and career preparatory direction from the counseling team. School counselors, in collaboration with the Career Pathway Liaison, engage in the career exploration process by attending site visits to local businesses, participating in career chatter events, and facilitating more in-depth experiences for students planning to attend community college or trade and technical schools. In this expanded role, counselors develop areas of expertise in specific career pathways and serve in a supportive role as students prepare for post-secondary experiences. The Student Services team at the senior high school consists of school counselors, school psychologists, school nurses, and a school social worker. Support is provided to students across 4 main areas: academic development, personal social development, career exploration, and transition planning. I will highlight some of our initiatives. The counseling team partnered with Dr. Brown, the district equity officer, to develop data-driven systems that ensure high-achieving students have access to the most rigorous courses available at the senior high, along with the supports necessary to find success in these courses. For students who face barriers to learning, the Student Services team collaborates with school administration, teaching faculty, and community resources through building-based core team, child study team, and dropout prevention interventions. Community partners Aldersgate Youth Services Bureau, Child and Family Focus, and the CHOP School Adolescent Mood Project provide extensions of school-based supports, and the Student Services team frequently collaborates with outside providers to ensure continuity of counseling services for our students. In the areas of career exploration and transition planning, partnerships with local and state organizations are critical. Career education assessments and classroom programs provide an avenue for students to build a career development foundation. This foundation is enhanced by the Career Chatter program, which connects local, national, and international industry professionals together with our students. The students who attend Career Chatters leave the experience with a strong understanding that, for many people, the career journey is not a linear path. For college-bound students, school counselors facilitate in-person and virtual visits from college admissions representatives and chaperone tours to many local colleges and universities. The College Information Night program, conducted virtually for the past several years, brings expertise from school counselors, the Princeton Review, and the Pennsylvania Higher Education Assistance Agency to our students and their families. For families that cannot attend these sessions, recordings are posted on the website. Connecting with the parent and guardian community is critical to the success of our students. In addition to the college information nights, the counseling department engages in several outreach activities each year. Annually in March, the College and Career Fair brings over 100 colleges, universities, trade technical schools, branches of the military and police, and employment agencies to the senior high school. Student services staff members have been regular presenters at parent council meetings on a variety of wellness topics. And digital outreach through the department newsletter, the grade level Google Classrooms, and our Google Sites provide a forum to share timely and topical information with our students and their families. And I'll turn back to Ms. Bomsey.
As part of the multi-tiered system of supports, we review and evaluate the effectiveness of our programs. To assist with the effort, there are several committees that meet to review data and provide feedback. There's a student advisory council with students from each school that meet with Dr. Fetcher. There are district and school wellness, climate, bullying prevention committees. Staff also review data at faculty and department meetings. There's a guidance plan that was created and reviewed periodically, as well as the continuous monitoring of student services staff in their delivery of our services. One of the goals of this presentation, it goes along with what Dr. Fetcher said. We read you a long list of services and programs that you might not need right now, but a really important goal for us is that we're sharing this information, and we want families and staff to know about what we can do and to ensure that people reach out and contact the personnel in all of your buildings. You've got nurses, counselors, social workers, psychologists are available to help. If you're not sure who to contact, you can always call the Student Services Department. So like Dr. Fetcher said, we have people here that are ready and available to help. And this ends our presentation. We're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. If there are any questions from the board?
Questions from the board?
This isn't so much a question, but I really appreciate learning about all of these resources. I know that, I knew that we had a plethora of resources, but it's really helpful, I think, to see it on paper. And I love that it's data-driven. I look forward to seeing data, as you're collecting it over the year. I also just kudos to all of you after, I don't know how you're doing all this, and you were also dealing with a pandemic. So this is very helpful and impressive, and I'm just really looking forward to seeing the impact on the students.
I have a question. Who analyzes the data for the results from the student surveys?
There's building teams that look at the building data. We look at the district data, and we have Linkit now so that the teachers are able to see the data. The student services personnel, they create reports so they can see which students might be at high risk. That's from the universal screeners. The student survey data we use more for programming, like programmatic. So we might see, if there's a bullying issue or something like that. We're doing the school climate survey this year. We did the PAYS in the past, and we talked a lot about drug and alcohol use and, the mental health issues that we found with that survey last year. We access resources and grants using some of the student survey. But to answer your question, at all levels, district, building, teams, these committees we talked about, we present at the committees, we present here for sharing with the community. So we make good use of the data and the surveys that we use.
I just wanted to second Dr. Kleiman's remarks, but then also ask what mechanisms you have in place to push this information out into school communities, because as scintillating as these meetings are, not everybody watches them.
So that has been a big push for us, and that's a big goal for us is the community outreach, especially this year. So all of our staff have been sending newsletters, monthly, weekly, some different. You heard Mr. Taliaferro talk about what they send out. So we're sending regular newsletters home. Some of the staff will put an announcement or a blurb in the principal communication that goes out. That's if you. anybody has any ideas, we're welcome to hear it,
What about
We're-
social media, TikTok or Instagram or whatever else?
Well, we can look into that for sure.
Consider it.
Yeah.
We're also working with Parent Council and doing presentations, and this year it was decided through Parent Council that the presentations not be live, so that people can access them at their own time, because it was very difficult when we would have, a speaker come in, and it doesn't always work with everyone's schedule. So that's one area that we've always used as an opportunity on various topics. For example, last year there was one on self-esteem and body image, and in those presentations. We're also making an effort now that we are in a different type of format this year, and we are doing more community outreach and have the opportunity throughout the community to do some presentations, and at a small scale for anyone who's interested. So we're doing that. And in terms of, we'll push a lot of those out through our social media, as it is an excellent opportunity for us to communicate with our public, especially when we have programs for our students as well. So they're just some of the things that you're doing that you didn't necessarily mention.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I had one question.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
so
sorry.
sorry. First of all, thank you for everything that you're doing. I'm, again, in awe of everything that you're doing, especially during a pandemic. It's insane. But also, where would, say, I know you're doing all this outreach, but if a parent, doesn't check their inbox or isn't getting their emails or whatever, where would they be able to go ahead and look for this information?
So on the district webpage, there's a student services area, and on that area it lists all different tabs for the different topics. And then we also have a Google site that will be linked, that's linked there with more information. And also resources, community resources are linked there as well. And then there's, live links where you can just email your personnel.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
We'll make sure that in our board brief following the meeting that we include some of those links for you, and I'll ask Ms. Artur as well if we can possibly do a social media post of sorts on the gram or something, as it's called, I'm told, in order to promote some of these places where people can go. That concludes our orientation this evening.
Thank you.
I don't, or IG. I don't know. I've
I
heard
don't think
both.
it's called IG.
Yeah. I'm no expert either. Okay.
That would conclude our orientation for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fetcher. We are moving on to our first period of comments from citizens. Comments from citizens are being conducted both in person and by phone. The phone number to participate in public comments is 267-715-3717 and is being displayed on the screen at this time. You will be able to join the meeting by calling in on your mobile or landline phone. If there's anyone present who would like to make a comment, please use the microphone either to your left or to your right. There appears to be no one in the room. Mr. Lutz, has anyone phoned in to be recognized for public comment?
Not at this time.
In that case, we will move on to item 6, the no?
We,
Oh.
we,
There's a bit of
Okay.
a delay
we
for
just,
the home.
someone
Okay.
just came on.
Okay.
Our first citizen for public comment is phone number ending in 1797.
Hello?
You-
Hello, we can hear you.
Oh, thank you. Hi, my name is Tara Ng. I'm on Gregory Road. I'd like to thank you for taking my comment this evening. I'm sure we can all agree that the weather was amazing today. I hope some of you sitting in this meeting had the opportunity to get outside during business hours to enjoy the sun and fresh air. Abington's elementary recess, and my high school student had the choice to go outside for lunch. Now we turn to the middle school, where most of our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students did not set foot outside on this perfect fall day. They don't have consistent outdoor access throughout their 7+ hour day, which is spent primarily in windowless classrooms, some with substandard ventilation. Hundreds of students and parents signed a letter to ask Mr. File and Dr. Fetcher to reinstate an outdoor lunch option at the middle school. I hope some board members took the time to read through the comments, especially those from students. The response we received from Mr. File touched on a few obstacles that can be overcome with some planning and resources. There is a precedent for outdoor lunch at the middle school building. Throughout last school year, junior high students had the option to eat lunch outdoors. Administrators at the high school are experienced with outdoor lunch and are a valuable resource for problem solving to overcome concerns Mr. File outlined in his response. We know the administration cannot instantaneously send kids outside for lunch, but have confidence that if outdoor lunch is a priority, the talented, hardworking staff at the middle school can make it happen. I have several questions, which include, one, did the middle school administration evaluate what additional staff and resources are needed for outdoor lunch? Number two, if not, can the administration go through the process of such an evaluation? And number three, how does the administration plan to address the numerous comments from students stating that time outside reduces their anxiety, improves their mood and concentration, and facilitates social growth? As we saw tonight in the presentation, the district frequently surveys students' social and emotional health, their sense of belonging, how they feel about the climate at school. Here you have hundreds of students and parents telling you that the outdoor lunch will improve the climate and students' social and emotional well-being, yet we see no action in a positive direction. The idea that time outdoors is good for us, especially kids, is universal. Spending time outdoors is simply healthier, both mentally and physically. Please make the effort to provide an outdoor lunch option at the middle school. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for your voice. Do we have anyone else, Mr. Lutz?
There's no one else.
Yep. I'd just like to thank the caller for your comments and suggestions.
So this is item 6, approval of additional agenda items. Mr. Kay, could you please read the recommendation?
We don't have any agenda.
We don't have any? Okay, then we won't do that. Second. This is my first rodeo.
You're doing great.
In that case, we'll go on to approval of minutes. Mr. Kay, could you please read the recommendation?
Is the recommended action that the Board of School Directors approves the minutes of the board meeting on September 6, 2022, the board interviews on September 12, 2022, and the board meeting on September 20th, 2022.
Second.
We have a second. This is a voice vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. Next item is personnel. Mr. Kay, can you please read the recommendation for approval of the personnel addendum?
Is the recommended action that the Board of School Directors approves the changes in personnel as reflected in Personnel Addendum number 8.1.
Second.
We have a second. Dr. Fetcher, are there any, do you have anything to add?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Mallory. The personnel addendum begins with item number 1 and the change of status for 13 professional employees who have submitted the necessary paperwork to change salary class. Under item number 2 is the request for leaves of absence for 3 professional employees. The personnel addendum continues with the hiring of substitutes, compensation for curriculum projects, professional development, IEP meetings, and support personnel items. I'd like to bring your attention to item number 13 and the retirement of Miss Judith Rupp, a clerk at Abington Senior High School, who has served the district for 21 years. Thank you.
Are there questions or comments from the board? Okay, this is a roll call vote. Mrs. Flanagan?
Aye.
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 Glasser? Aye. Ms. Fazy? Aye. Dr. Kleiman? Aye. Dr. Mowry?
Aye. The ayes have it. The motion passes. Mr. Kay, can you please read the recommendation for permits for use of buildings and grounds?
Is the recommended action that the Board of School Directors approves the applications for permits for use of buildings and grounds as reflected in addendum number 9.1. All permits are subject to change per the provisions of the health and safety plan pertaining to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Second.
We have a second, Dr. Fetcher.
Thank you, Dr. Mowry. The permit addendum continues to reflect requests for buildings and grounds for this time of year. I'd like to bring your attention to permit number 127, which is for the Abington to be held at Abington Senior High School on November 19th, 2022, and permit number 136, the COVID-19 booster clinic, including ages 5 to 11, to be held at Copper Beach Elementary on October 21st.
Thank you. This is a roll call vote. Mrs. Flanagan?
Aye.
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 Dr. Kleiman?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. The motion passes. Mr. Kay, can you please read the recommendation for advertisement for bids?
Is the recommended action that the Board of School Directors approves the advertisement for bids as reflected in addendum number 10.1.
Second.
We have a second, Dr. Fetcher.
Thank you, Dr. Mowry. This evening, we have one request for permission to advertise, and that is for our elementary K-5 mathematics program. The district is seeking a mathematics program that contains evidence-based strategies for teaching and learning in mathematics, and that includes comprehensive professional development for our teachers. This would be funded by the ARP ESSERS funds and the 2022-2023 general fund budget.
Are there questions or comments from the board?
If we could also look for programs that have trainings for parents who don't know how to do elementary school math now, that would also be great.
And most of the, all kidding aside, most of the series have, one of the things we evaluate is the community outreach piece within each series and the tools that can be sent home to help and assist. But also the types of tools that are there for our students when they're not in class, and not all are fortunate to have someone that is able to work with them when they're trying to work on these things in the home. So that's one of the evaluations we use for selecting a series, albeit math or any other subject.
Anyone else? This is a roll call vote. Mrs. Flanagan?
Aye.
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 Aye. The ayes have it. The motion passes. Dr. Fetcher, are there any additional reports and recommendations by the administration?
We have an award of contract this evening as well, if I may.
Why, so we do. And yes, you may.
But we need,
Mr. Kay, can you please read the recommendation for awards of contracts?
Recommended action that the Board of School Directors approves the award of contracts as reflected in addendum number 11.1.
Second.
We have a second, Dr. Fetcher.
yes, tonight we have one award of contract, and that is for first aid supplies.
Are there questions or comments from the board? This is a roll call vote, Mrs. Flanagan.
Aye.
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 Dr. Mowry?
Aye. The ayes have it and the motion passes. Now,
So this evening, I provide you with the conference attendance and professional leaves and capital improvement projects for your information.
thank you. Any other business that appropriately may be brought to the attention of the Board of School Directors? Okay, this is the second period for public comment from citizens. Comments from citizens are being conducted both in person and by phone. The phone number to participate in public comments is 267-715-3275. 3717 and is being displayed on the screen at this time. You'll be able to join the meeting by calling in on your mobile or landline phone. If there's anyone present who would like to make a comment, please use the microphones either to your left or to the right. Seeing as no one wants to do that, Mr. Lutz, has anyone phoned in to be recognized for public comment?
Not at this time.
Do you want to wait a minute? Okay. 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 See, I only have to do it once. We're good? Okay. Okay. At this time, are there closing comments from board members? Mr. Allen?
Nice job, Dr. Mallory, assuming the role of vice president and chairing the meeting this evening.
Thank you.
Ditto.
Ms.
Good night,
Frazier?
Next.
Mr. Kay?
Nothing, thank you.
Ms. Glasser?
No, thank you.
Ms. Fazy?
Nothing, thank you.
Dr. Kleiman?
Thank you, Dr. Mowry, for chairing the meeting, and I think you did a great job, and also Mrs. Brown makes it look very easy.
Yes, she does.
And I thought you did a great job for your first time, so.
Thank you.
Yes.
I wanted to add before we adjourn for the evening that yesterday was National Indigenous Peoples' Day, and I wanted to recognize that on behalf of our students and the people of this region. So have that put into the record. But if there's nothing else.
Today's National Coming Out Day.
Oh, and National Coming Out Day. Thank you for that reminder, Mr. Allen. So happy National Coming Out Day. Anything else? No?
Good night.
Okay. So I think then we are adjourned. Okay. Thanks, everyone.